Welcome to the complete guide to Google Analytics 4. This video summarizes Chapter 12, Optimizing User Experience, which was written by Search Discovery's own Jeremy Cottriell. Jeremy is an analytics manager who specialized in analytics implementations and analysis for the past 8 years. And Jeremy also manages the Google Marketing Platform product support team at Search Discovery. Jeremy, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
So your chapter 12, again, is all about customer experience and the concept of, if I'm a marketer, how can I tell if customers are having a positive experience? How can I improve their experience with my website or application? So I want to start off by asking, what new features in Google Analytics 4 help with this? What features help understand, how users are interacting with their websites and apps and where they might be having negative interactions?
Yeah, so there's a lot of new features in Google Analytics 4. They've done a lot of adjustments, they've done a lot of changes, they've made the platform a lot more impactful altogether. In regards to Chapter 12 and optimizing user experience, what we've been focusing on, what I've calling out in my chapter, are a handful of them. One of the bigger ones is Google's ability to capture when a user is engaged. There are a couple different things that they're now tracking. So one of which being user engagement time. So when a user initially starts out on the website, they capture that second in time. When a user does something, whether that's a few seconds, few minutes, maybe even longer than that, the next event has a timestamp applied to it. So we know user spent X amount of time between starting on a page and completing an event. What that does is that allows Google Analytics to determine if a user is considered an engaged user. And what that means and what that applies to is, back in Universal Analytics, we were able to say, we had X amount of users on a site. Now we're able to say, you know what, we have X amount of users who visited our site, but we have Y number of users who are actually engaged or active. Another metric that we have are now engaged sessions. So we are now able to say, of all of our sessions that occurred within a time frame in Google Analytics 4, we had X number of engaged sessions. So what used to be just a very broad metric before, we're able to now drill in a little bit deeper to understand, are people actually engaged during their time on our site?
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, I alluded to this briefly, but talking about active users. Before, we used to have the total user number, which was, again, just a very broad statement saying, this is the number of unique identified users, whether that being from a client ID or a captured authenticated ID, and then later in time, a Google Signal ID. But now what we have is this ability to highlight active users. And what that is saying, this user actually did something on your site, versus a user who came to the site, whether that be a person, a bot, or something that generated a user ID, and they did nothing.
Yeah.
And they left.
It's a user who's had at least one, what Google calls engaged session, basically, which the criteria to become engaged is a couple of things, right? It's a number of seconds. It's if you complete a conversion event, you're engaged. Even if I think is it, how many seconds is it?
By default, it's 10 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, which is adjustable. You have the ability to shift that one way or the other if you really think that people are going to get content and
Yeah.
and get what they need within 5 seconds. You can change that setting in your Google Analytics property settings, or if you want it to be longer, so you expect people to need that more time and you would consider an engaged person needing more time to be engaged with your site,
Yeah,
you could time period out too.
well, this is an excellent segue to my next question, which was about, how do you make decisions about, what is a positive or negative experience? And I believe that the challenge is going to be that this is going to look different for different types of websites and apps, because I'll interact differently with an e-commerce site than a news site than a B2B site.
Right.
And so I think the question that I've got is if I'm a marketer and I'm concerned that users have a negative experience, maybe it's because I don't like a part of the website and it feels negative to me, or I think there are ways that we improved it, or maybe we tried to improve it and I want to validate if that made a difference. What, how can Google Analytics help you conduct that analysis? Knowing we've got these new features, but also just Google Analytics more broadly, how would you approach that kind of problem?
Yeah, so along with the other chapters you've probably been reading and we've highlighted during this meeting, it is important to really start out by defining what your business expectations are for your website or app. Without actually defining those, you won't know if a user is meeting, succeeding, surpassing or not hitting your business expectations. Without knowing that, you don't know if a user is having a positive or negative experience because you don't know what is considered a success. As our other chapters I've alluded to, really honing in on understanding what business expectations are and setting your business requirements on your site is really key to starting this process of understanding your user experience. From there, Google Analytics has been designed so that you can start tracking these key events on your website or app. And when you're doing your design, when you're doing your implementation, is really important that you're collecting those events within your platform. Once you have those events being collected, you can then add them as conversions in Google Analytics 4. Similar to what goals were in Universal Analytics, conversions will capture every time an event fires. And those should be representative of your business success. Not something really attainable, like easily, because once you have something that's easily attainable, it can start making for a false success for your users. And especially if you're using those in your other GMP products, you might be trying to put money towards these users who are completing these conversions, but aren't actually contributing to your success of your business. So you might just be spending money you don't want to spend. And from that, I mean, seeing that, having those set up, you say, oh, we have these conversions now nailed down in our Google Analytics 4 platform. That's when you can start digging into the data. That's when you can say, okay, I know what success looks like and I know what failure looks like. And let's go start looking at the conversion events in GA4. Are they meeting your expectations? Are they surpassing your expectations? Or if your concern is valid and they are not having a good user experience, these conversions will be much lower than expected.
Right.
Yeah. And
so
then, okay.
if I may, if I were to summarize, if say I just launched a new experience on my website, what I should do is after I'm done, get in and look for some positive data that makes it look good, right? That's what you're saying? No? Or quick wins, as I've been asked to look at for in the past. Find some quick wins.
It's real easy to do that too. But I mean, really the key thing is you don't want to make data look good. Like the data should look good itself. And a lot of people could fall into that scenario of making something really easily attainable, really easily, reliable for information. And the key to this is let's dig into and understand what you're hoping to see while understanding, does that match up with your business requirements and your business expectations?
Yeah.
And the nice thing to do with Google Analytics 4, there's many ways to get to this now, but Google also has the exploration feature, which isn't so much a new feature from Universal Analytics, but it's a much more adopted feature in Google Analytics 4, which there's a slew of different reporting types from just your standard table reports to the newly available to all pathing reports and funnel reports.
Right, because you used to have to buy 360 to get access to those reports. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, they used to be behind the 360 wall, but along with other features that they've made available to everyone, including the BigQuery integration, these pathing reports are well updated in comparison to what they were in Universal Analytics, and they can definitely help in understanding if users are having a great experience, a poor experience, exactly the experience you want, and you're able to quickly build those in the Explorer section.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, to wrap up, one thing that you hinted at, which is totally true, is that in a lot of these chapters, we've emphasized making a plan ahead of time. I think there's this combination of understanding what's possible. Like somebody does need to know what are the metrics in GA4, how does it work, what is engagement time, and how can I use that? And then once you know that, setting an expectation or a benchmark that you've drawn a line and you say, this is my objective. Doesn't mean you're sticking by it forever, but it means you've got a plan. Maybe as you learn more information, you move it up or down. But starting with a plan rather than getting too far down the path to the point where it's not, there's no way to measure success or failure because you don't have a benchmark. Again, chapter 12, I hope people get a lot of value out of it. I know I did. So thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate the time.
Yep, thank you.